Welcome to the Freight Agent Insider Podcast, hosted by Levi Van Pay.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Freight Agent Insider. LVP, I'm your host, bringing you the real deal, the real stories, all the fun and not so fun, everything pertaining to freight. Before we dive in, just a quick note. If you have no experience and you're somebody that's joining us for the first time, we do have a website. Maybe you've just stumbled upon the TikTok or the YouTube, whatever, and you want to become a freight agent, have no idea where to start. We do have a very, very in-depth course put together with a lot of the tips and tricks from a lot of our professional freight agents that join us on the show. Hop over to freightagentinsider.com, join the boot camp, use code INSIDER for 25% off, and start making a lot of money. If you have questions for us, me, the guests, any of the agents, or anybody else we talk to on the show, go to the page on the website, talk to us live. You can pre-record questions directly from your phone. That's always fun. Get interactive with us. Join the show. Okay, super exciting episode today. This one kind of brings, even for myself, kind of brings things full circle because previous host of a podcast, a lot of you probably know, Two Dogs, One Pod, him and his former partner, Matt Dahl, had me on the show one time, and I just had a blast. And I was like, geez, it really re-sparked the interest for me to resume podcasting. I did it a long time ago. So a lot to attribute to me doing this now is because of this guy. So I'd like to introduce to everybody the man, the myth, Will Hopkins.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
Will, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate the kind intro, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The episode I did with you and Matt quite a while ago. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I forgot how much fun this thing can be, but not only fun, very informative. And there's a lot of people out there that I think take what we talk about on this show to learn, how to implement some of the strategies that you have and the other guests have to really become successes of their own. So, Will, if you could, I think everybody probably knows you already, but if you could tell us about yourself, who you are, how you got your start in freight, and what you're doing now.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Will Hopkins. I'm one of the founders of Blackbox Logistics. I do have two partners, but I got my start in freight kind of by accident. I was 18, didn't really know what I was going to do. Had a friend that owned actually a Roadrunner agency. Went by there to talk to him, and it ended up being a job interview. I thought that they had something to do with finance. I didn't know what freight brokerage was. I just heard brokerage, and I didn't know anything, right? But anyway, I was like, yeah, I'll try this out. I don't have anything else going on. Was there for about a year and a half, left, had some contracts. So started a dispatching company, worked with a bunch of owner operators, small fleets. Once my contracts expired, started the brokerage, and the brokerage got its start as an agency model for a corporate company. And we still have some business under that agency model, but we've begun shifting the majority of that to our own MC, which is Blackbox Logistics, and Blackbox is 3PL freight brokerage, but we also do a little bit of everything. We do car hauling, international, Mexico, trains, boats, planes, really whatever, but primarily domestic, over the road, full truckload.
Remind me after we hop off. I have a guy who was interested in joining a brokerage doing car hauling. He's got his own book and everything. I'll send him your way after this. Yeah, it's exciting, man. So let me ask you this. What made you decide to move from the agency to owning your own brokerage? Because that's a massive move.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that played into that decision, but I mean, ultimately, the goal, the dream, the vision was to always have our own company. And when you're an agent, yeah, I mean, you have your own book of business, and it's like your business, but it's really just a sales agency. So you can't claim all the revenue. You can claim really the GPM. So you might do 50 million as an agency, but really that's going to show up as, I don't know, like 7.5. So yeah, I mean, we just wanted full control. We didn't want to have to run anything up the ladder or ask for approval. We wanted to build it and scale it. So that's what we've done. And man, it's been a lot. It's been the best thing I ever did, and also the hardest thing I've ever done. Moving from the agency to your own brokerage, it just comes with a lot that you don't have to worry about as an agent.
Yeah, yesterday I made a post on LinkedIn, kind of is super relevant to this. It was talking about an agent I know who is kind of getting roadblocked with onboarding a customer. And Seth Bland, a lot of respect for him and who he is, had kind of like a contrarian view as to what I posted about agents being business owners. Put me in my place a little bit, which is always good. You got to get slapped with truth once in a while. But he said that agents are almost more of employees than they are owners because, like you said, they don't own anything. There is no equity. So, can you shine a little bit more of a light on that and expose the truth to this?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree that you're more of an employee. I mean, you're a contractor, so it's kind of nuanced, right? It's not really either or, black and white. I don't think you're 100%. I mean, you're not an employee, actually. I mean, you're not, right? Like, it's 1099. There's a bunch of, we could get into like the legality and the nuance of that in itself, but you're not an employee. But you don't have full ownership because, again, yeah, you might get, blinds. You can't set up a customer because corporate doesn't want to sign a contract, or you need credit. You can't make
Right.
fully autonomous decisions. You don't have 100% power. So, I mean, yeah, you're just I mean, again, you're a sales agency business owner, and like that's uh that's what it is in my opinion. Again, it's like kind of middle.
I've seen this go both ways too. Like I've seen agents do exactly what you did, Will, where transition to owning a brokerage. I've also seen brokerage owners that say, enough of this. There's too much. I want to just focus on selling. And they move into the agent side of things.
Yeah.
You did it the other way. So you were agent first, then went brokerage owner. If you could do it again, would you do it the same way? And what would you recommend to others?
Yeah, so if I could like go back in time and do one or the other, I would do it the same. But in the future, if for some reason Blackbox went belly up and I had to start over, I would not do it again just because it's so much, right? Like if I had to do it again, I would just want to do a sales agency and get my commissions on Friday and like sleep like a baby at night.
Yeah.
But since
Yeah.
man, like I'm 27, so we started Blackbox. I was 21. I didn't have wife, kids, mortgages, or anything. So it's just kind of like, run it, have nothing to lose. So again, I'm in a different spot today and looking at everything that we've had to overcome or just deal with. I don't want to necessarily like do that again. So I'm very glad that we did it. But if I had to do it again, simply because I've already done it, like I would probably not because I don't want to like put that much into it again to like kind of get over the I don't know, man. The big thing, like just to mention a few, building credit. So we got our MC. It's about 6, 7 years old. We thought, hey, we'll just age the MC. We have good business credit. We pay our bills, and then we go to market, and like, dude, it doesn't fucking matter. Nobody cares. You have to have credit with factoring companies and these lines, so you can't just, man. Like we had built our book of business up to a pretty significant amount, and it's like, okay, let's move this over to RMC. It's like, man, I can't service it because I can't buy enough capacity because I don't have the credit line. So now I'm, do like 7 p.m., like arguing with Sergey about wiring him money before he delivers to service my customers. Of course, we don't deal with that now, but like getting started, there's a bunch of that. Uh, so, yeah, I mean that sucks. And then also like the cash flow of carrying the carrier pay. It's a lot. I mean, you need a pretty significant amount of money or financing something to float those payables because it's man, the difference in like, again, if you're an agency just taking operating off a PL and getting paid on Friday and they're paying the carriers, like it doesn't matter. Margin percentage doesn't really matter to an agent. It's like, yeah, man, I want my margin percentage to be higher, but like it's so
Right.
much different if me, Will, is booking a load under the agency model at like 6%. Like I might get these $9,000 line hauls and make $500 a load. I'm like, dude, I'm killing it. But under your own brokerage, it's like, no, that's not good. You get customers that start stretching you on payment. You get people that don't want to pay. And then it's like, okay, now Now I'm just doing collections, like I started
Right.
broker because I'm a good operator. And then like now with all this, there's things that you have to figure out, which is exciting and different and like it pushes you, but at the same time, didn't think about it.
And when you started it, not thinking about it, like if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, maybe you would have done it a little bit differently. Would you have had like a different approach to how you grew this?
No, I don't think so. I mean, hindsight's always 2020. Could we have done a few tweaks here and there to kind of like avoid some pitfalls? Sure. But there hasn't been any disastrous mistakes or anything that we did where we're just like, man, like we can't come back from this. This is devastating. We're, like we learn from many mistakes and we correct it and do the best we can moving forward. And man, like things happen again. It's kind of like almost like a trick question answer. It's like, looking back, like what would you have done differently? I mean, nothing, because I love where we are today. Like I love this
Right.
company. I love the people that work here. Like I'm still like fully 100% in about it. But, like where there's some things that we could have done differently that didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got one of the coolest names out there. I always say Cody Godfrey, Godfreight is probably my favorite. Kobe and Cowtown Logistics, that's a close second, but Blackbox is just like, it's got almost like a esoteric, like just the way it rolls off the tongue is, it's sexy.
Well, man, I appreciate that. I unfortunately can't take credit for naming it. My partner, William Graves, came up with it, but I do want to throw in one more logistics company to keep an eye out for that might have a name in the top three, and that's Cowboys Logistics out of Charleston, South Carolina. Richard McBride, he sent me a hoodie, and he's got the coolest logo in freight. It's just it's a Peterbilt, and it's got a cowboy like riding it like it's a horse. Wear it
I
all the
love
time.
that.
Yeah,
Seems like anything with like a C or a B, like that's what all of those have in common. Every single one of those, C or a B.
yeah.
They could be unrelated. Anyways, dude, you said that you're 27 years old. I didn't know that. That's wild. It's wild that, and I don't want to just talk about your history. I want to talk about where you're heading, and you've got a long, long runway and a long career ahead of you doing this.
Hopefully,
What, yeah, right. Knock on some wood. Where do
yeah.
you see yourself and Blackbox taking this thing in the next, I don't know, 5, 10 years?
And so we'll definitely still be here. We're not looking for an exit, and I mean, I say that I don't want to exit in the next 5 to 10 years. Like you said, like I'm pretty young, and I don't know what I would do. So like I want to stay with the company, continue building it. I mean, I think our plan is kind of like a Kaizen approach, which is to improve a little bit every day for our customers. We continue adding some solid talent that's been at some other companies, bringing them in, kind of get a blend of maybe like a coyote with black box, and then it becomes its own little thing. So that's been big, like bringing in people with 10 plus years experience and then getting their opinion, inside experience, and then looking back at our processes and saying, what can we do better? So, I mean, man, it's kind of a like cookie cutter answer, right? But we want to continue growing and continue getting better at what we do.
What, when you mentioned earlier about like as this thing has grown and a part of this becoming like a collections process, because that's in a lot of ways that's what it is, right? Like you have to keep the money flowing, you have to get payments, you're making payments. What happens when you start getting when your pay terms start stretching? Like do you have that ability to get to 45, 60 days, and if it gets to that, even like without you wanting it to get like that, how do you handle it?
Yeah. So, we do. We never offer. We're not 30, right? We'll make a few exceptions depending on the customer and if they're good for it. Like a lot of larger companies sometimes will stretch you because they can.
Mhm.
But really what we've gotten in trouble with, I don't even want to say trouble because, financially we're solid and nothing's been disastrous, but the ones that get you are the ones that are net 30 and don't give you a heads up and tell you that the check's in the mail every time you call, and it just never comes. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I've seen it. Like and man, a lot of them, it's funny. Uh, a lot of the ones that we have issues with are like these really small, like SMB shippers that they might have reached out to us and like we do like one or two shipments, like almost as like a favor. And then not a I mean, but like they're not customers that like we're really seeking down, like, oh, like I want to onboard them. They might go to our website, put in a request, we reach out, onboard them. And then it's like, dude, we got to call them like 20 times for like 3 grand. And it's like, I would, I don't, that's tough. But another example situation, we hired some guys that were 2 guys that were at another brokerage, and that brokerage was insolvent. They declared bankruptcy. So when that happened, a lot of the carriers with outstanding payables or like outstanding invoices to the brokerage contacted
Hmm.
the shippers. We hired them, onboarded their shippers, started moving a bunch of freight. And we got one in particular that ran us up to about like over 150 grand. And they were not paying, unresponsive for a very long time. But come to find out, they thought that this company that had gone bankrupt, they thought that the guy that we hired, because he was their contact, was running some kind of Ponzi scheme. Because they didn't know what was going on. They just know the carriers were contacting the shipper. So they had to pay in some instances twice, right? And they thought that Blackbox was somehow connected to that. So they weren't paying us. So that's an example of, somebody else's actions, kind of like domino effect. Long story short, we got the money. We got lawyers involved. I'm like, hey, we're not a part of this company. Like, very sorry that happened, but we need to be paid for our services. So, man, like things like that, it can be, I don't know, just kind of, I don't want to say crazy because it's the market we're in, kind of coming out of it, but a lot of companies failed. And a lot of people are affected by that.
If it's the same insolvent brokerage that I'm thinking it is, and it might or might not start with an R, um, I know an agent that left there. The same thing happened with he's connected with a brokerage out of, I believe it was California, but there was something very similar. So that it kind of rang in my ear a little bit. Yeah, it's so different, man. And listen, a lot of the listeners of Freight Agent Insider are younger, and a lot of them have questions about starting their own brokerage versus becoming an agent. It's always a question because you kind of hit on it. When you own the operation, you own the MC, it's all yours. You don't split it. Yeah, it's all a little bit different, but it's yours versus an agency you're running under another authority. What's some I guess what's some brutal advice that you'd give to someone thinking about starting their own brokerage in this freight market?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of like, at least from what we're seeing and kind of like what's out there, it seems like things are picking up, and I'm very bullish for the rest of 2026 and beyond. Um, but even like based on that, right? Broker margins get compressed in the short term when rates are going through the roof, diesel's up, and then customers aren't adjusted. Maybe you gotta, I mean, that's a big thing, cash flow. But my advice, and I don't even know if I would say advice, but I would say I can speak about my experience and what I think would be useful or even valuable is to really consider I think it's all about trade-offs. I think anything and everything in life, really, if you boil it down, you can look at it, weight it, and it's all trade-offs. Like, how bad do I want my own thing? Am I willing to do X, Y, Z for it, and what comes with that? And really look at it. And I think if a lot of people did that, they'd probably say no. Like, I can make, if it's about just, like a weekly commission, you can probably do better as an agent. But running your own brokerage, it's like, do you want to own it and have 100% of it and make all the decisions? But at the same time, making all those decisions is pretty fucking heavy, depending on, things happen. You have to take ownership of it for, good, bad, whatever. So yeah, I would say, I mean, really like weigh it down and just, are you willing to make the trade-offs for it?
Is the capital a concern too on the front side? Like earlier you mentioned that a little bit about like the factoring companies, and
Yeah.
how does
So
that weigh in?
I would say, so if you're starting as an agent, there's no overhead really. Like,
Right.
get a computer and internet connection. Like, they're probably paying for your load boards even. So, I mean, there's little to no overhead. But then once
Yeah.
you get into your own authority, there's so much overhead, like everything. So it's just kind of like night and day there. And then beyond just the overhead, um, just running the business under your own MC. So like carrying the payables like AR and AP, and not only like the numbers, but you have to hire people to like do that unless like you're going to do it, but then you probably have other responsibilities. So I mean, there's all kinds of things that like door gets opened up, claims compliance, like all these different softwares. And it's just, man, it's really kind of, I don't want to say night and day because it's like you're still brokering freight and the operations is still the same, but from an ownership perspective, it is pretty much night and day.
It's gotta be very easy to get inundated in all of those different little like the software side of it. There's a million different freight related softwares that I see, like as a brokerage owner, that's got to be just like, wow. There's, you being a younger guy. First of all, you don't carry yourself like a younger guy at all. I thought you were 3 years older than me, but I think
Okay.
it's a big inspiration to a lot of younger people that are tuning in because they want to be the next Will Hopkins. And I think it's an inspiration that you're doing it at a young age. So take a listen to this and let me know your thoughts here.
New customer lockdown.
And I know right before we started, I love that makes you smile. Right before we started, you mentioned that you're doing a lot, like this week particularly. Market's crazy. How have you landed a couple of the new customers that you've landed lately?
Yeah. So, man, so I almost need to separate our customer acquisition into two buckets because I'll speak about me personally because I do have a book of business and like I still am involved in sales and onboarding customers, even if I am kicking the business elsewhere, as opposed to kind of like our sales floor. Me personally, it's been a lot of referrals and even, maybe I'll speak about one customer without giving their name, but like a large enterprise customer that has all these different subsidiaries. So do a really good job for one location, then you get in with another, and then you're on board with the subsidiary. And all of a sudden, like one customer's turned into, like the equivalent of like 20, 30, but it's all the same bill to same TMS, same processes. So you can really like pump out some volume. Something to consider is, like the ease of working the freight. So if you've got a bunch of different like SMB shippers, it's much harder to pump volume as opposed to, like the same systems processes. Are they organized, clean? So a lot of our cradle to grave. So we're kind of split. Half is cradle to grave, half is kind of pod system. And all the cradle to graves for the most part are working SMB shippers. Margins are usually better, but it's usually a little bit more time and care to do the shipments. Like you might have old Ricky in Iowa, like texting some loads, emailing some loads, PO numbers different places, addresses are wrong. And like that can be tough. So the cradle to graves target the SMBs. That's a lot of I do a lot of cold calling, building relationships, getting an opportunity, and making the most of it. And then on the team side, which is kind of like enterprise sales, it's a lot of servicing really well, and then through that servicing, doors open up.
You have a big following on LinkedIn. Do you utilize that for customer growth as well?
Yeah, a lot. Actually, the big customer I'm talking about, I mean, I'm saying like, yeah, we're servicing, get different opportunities, but really the way I got onboarded with this latest subsidiary, which is a $1 billion subsidiary, so it's a massive company, was through LinkedIn. A guy, uh, a guy did an intro with me and one of the contacts, and then we work with the large company locations in the same spot. We've got some in-house technology that tracks our loads, so I was able to kind of like snip it and be like, hey, this is what I've done for your company elsewhere. Then we get visibility to their loads. So that was kind of LinkedIn, and then kind of what we're doing currently. But yeah, we get a lot of like inbound stuff from LinkedIn. I solicit it quite a bit. Like I post a load, I'm like, hey, Hopkins at shiplbx.com.
Yep.
Um, some of it's turned out to be really good. I mean, like a lot of it's just I don't know, stuff that, like she's like, nah, get some like really like shitty, like inbound stuff too. Or people that like you think that they're about to set up a call to there is, shipper got these loads and I get on there like trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been good, especially for recruiting. We've hired a lot of people off of the LinkedIn presence.
Yeah, it's the place to do stuff like that, I believe. And I'm glad that it's all gone good, but I know sometimes things don't go good. We'll take a listen to this real quick.
Horror stories and pitfalls.
All right, brother. What do you got for us? I mean, you've built a great company, but greatness is often built on big mistakes or things going wrong. Do you got any
Yeah.
stories for us?
Yeah. First, I want to throw a quote at you. One of my favorite quotes. I don't even know who said it or if anybody said it. I've heard it. Like all great things are found somewhere between method and madness. And I would equate
Love
that
that.
to building and growing a freight brokerage. It's a lot of method and it's a lot of madness, and it's kind of somewhere in between. Might teeter further one way than the other some days, but I'm kind of trying to find that middle ground. But yes, I think that the craziest story I have in logistics actually comes from our days. I say our days because my 2 partners and I worked at an agency for somebody else years back before we started all of this, and one of my partners, Logan, had a load for the government. Actually, it was a whole lot of loads for some disaster relief, and they were going really well. And maybe like day 3 or 4 of the project, he got a call from the North Carolina Bureau of Investigations, and the guy's name, which I think it's funny, the audience might not think it's as funny, but his name was it was like just a government name. It was like Bill Brady. So I don't know. It's just like stereotypical, whatever.
I like it.
He called it and said something along the lines of, "Hey, one of our trucks was in an accident, and the other's in a police chase, trying to figure out like who they are, which one's yours." And he's kind of sitting there thinking about, well, like the worst thing that could happen is that like the truck wrecked or damaged. But it turns out no, the driver in the police chase had tried to turn around. Um, in somebody's yard, kinda, like, rutted it. The person ran outside yelling at him, and the driver got road rage and actually shot the guy. And from there, he fled the scene and was involved in a police chase and police ended up getting him with like a roadblock, some spikes, and the driver ended up
Yeah.
the truck and trailer, and the trailer was government property. It wasn't ours, flipping it into a peanut field. So that was pretty bad, but the craziest thing of that story is, man, we're thinking like, or he's thinking this customer relationship's dead. Like our driver just shot somebody. Like, this was so bad. The guy called him and was like, "Hey, yeah, that's just kind of like the nature of the beast with outside contractors. Here's 20 more." So it puffed. Ended up working, and
Incredible.
yeah, the owner of that agency actually had to buy that trailer that flips in the peanut field because they couldn't do anything with it. Um, and that guy's in prison, and the guy who got shot lived. I should mention that, and he was an
Good,
off-duty
good.
police officer as well. So yeah, that was a pretty bad horror story. That's probably
That's
the one.
that's probably the worst one that we've heard on the show. That's it's definitely up there.
It was rough, dude. It was a good. It's crazy. I say well, the whole thing's crazy, right? But the company that was running them was like, man, they were really solid out of Louisiana, and it was like this sweet older lady that was a dispatcher that we were booking them off through. We called, or he called and was like, "Hey, like Ernest or whoever, like this is going on." She was like, "Oh no, 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 Mister Ernest would never. He's a sweet old man. Guy's like 65, but no, like he didn't." And
He just snapped.
yeah, dude, he snapped. But yeah, it buffed.
That's wild.
Well, I don't know. Happens, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, happens, I guess.
Well, Black Box, we haven't had any. All of our drivers at Black Box are very professional, and that's
No
never happened.
shootings yet. No
Yeah,
shootings.
I would. My God. But
So
yeah,
that was probably the biggest "oh shit" moment that you had as an agent. Has there been any comparable, well, not comparable in, like, shootings, but, like, what's been the biggest "oh shit" moment owning Black Box?
I had a company go under that we had like close to $1 million outstanding with, like 2.5 years ago. That was pretty bad. So yeah, that was rough, but it buffed, but stuff like that, really it's, that one was rough. That was pretty, like, clear cut, straightforward. There was no, like, processing or whatnot. Like, they filed bankruptcy. We weren't getting any money, is what it is. And we got through it. So, like, it worked out. But yeah, that really sucked.
Did you have to just write that down, or did you get paid eventually?
No, we didn't get paid. It was,
Ooh,
oh, we got paid like a very, very, very small amount, like pennies on the dollar through
right,
bankruptcy court or whatnot. Man, like anytime there's like some kind of bankruptcy and they're saying like file your claim, like it's like good luck, we
right,
got we
right.
got very little of the money back, and this was through the agency, and the people we're partnered with were very good to us, and like we were able to pay it back over time. They didn't just say like, hey, like we need all this money, and
Right.
and they kind of like split it fairly with us, and we all I don't know. I mean, it was a bad hand that we were dealt, but it worked,
Yeah.
and we got it solved. It was cleared up. So yeah, I mean that sucked.
Does Black Box have any future plans of starting an agent program? So, the LinkedIn agent recruiters like Matt and I can send you some freebies?
Man, I don't know. I don't think so. I just I don't think it's going to be in the cards for us. Maybe I've kind of like floated the idea to my partners of if we've got people that have been with us for a while and they're for whatever reason like don't want to be an employee, um, like we might give them the opportunity to go be an agent and
Mhm.
kind of like give them the playbook for like how we scaled like our agency. But I don't think we want to be, like similar like you and Matt, like you guys are like out like recruiting, like actively like, looking for people and talent. I think the only reason that we would do it is because we've had somebody with us and they really want to do it and we don't want to lose them. So we give them the opportunity. Um, at least right now with where we're at, who knows what the future holds, but as it
Let
stands now, I
let me
think
let me
so.
ask you let me ask you this to kind of piggyback off of that because like I know some brokerage owners like I see Jake Peterson or he owns his brokerage, he's recruiting agents for it. Is there a reason why you kind of navigate away from that as opposed to some brokerage owners specifically want agents?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that it's like our like little baby and like we want to be sure that they're man, I don't want to be cheesy, but like operating to the black box standard, like with carriers, customers, everything,
Not
compliance.
cheesy at all.
Yeah. And it's man, yeah, it's just if I don't want to onboard an agent and then have to breathe down their neck and say like, hey, like we don't do this here. Like to be an agent, you're 1099, kind of like doing your own thing with minimal oversight. And like I don't want to be looking over somebody's shoulder the whole time. So again, and not to say, man, there's a lot of good people that are agents. I mean, like we got started as an agent. But again, I think it just makes us kind of like nervous because it's our baby. We put so much into it. Just I don't think at least for us, and I'm not saying it's a bad model at all, but for us, it's not the risk isn't worth the reward in onboarding agents. So at least for now, we're just doing it all in house.
Speaking of Matt Dahl, he's calling me as we speak right now. Um, so that's what I like about what you just said, Will, and I don't find that cheesy at all because here's a perfect example of that. Go go look at any agent program's Google reviews, and it's going to be like 2 out of 5 stars because it's just carriers writing reviews about the agents, and they think that it's the company, it's just the agents. So I fully get that. I'm sure your Google reviews are 4.8 out of 5.
Yeah, well, I cheated on that. I got like 300 people on there that leave 5 stars. So yeah, they're pretty damn good. But yeah, man, it's just things like that, and it's again like there's a certain way that we want to do business from like top to bottom, and I don't want to like jeopardize that or yeah, I'm not saying that it would happen. It's just not worth it to risk it to me.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. All right, we're nearing the end here. We'll wrap it up with this one, Will.
Freight agent insider tips for success.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, again, if you're an agent, you can operate much different than your own brokerage. And man, to be honest, like what we did is we got in like really slim with some customers, then expanded margins. Cause like I don't, dude, if I'm an agent, I'm not that concerned about like the margin percentage. So if a load, we get the example of like a $9,000 load, if I can make $500 a load and it's easy for me to build, book, and tender, give me 200 of them. But like as a broker, just like we probably don't want that. So keep that in mind for if you're an agent, you can probably your pricing and you're getting a larger split. So, like your time return, it's just different. And a lot of people are operating as W-2, so you can use that to your advantage. I think that like John Rogers, infamous, love him or hate him, I think he does a good
Never
job.
heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. But like saying like I'm available 24/7, it's just me, one point of contact system, all that stuff. Which is kind of
Yep.
like what we did with the W-2 Cradle to Graves is like one point of contact, like call, they'll answer, but all that kind of stuff. And yeah, man, I think if you're an agent, yeah, just run it up. Doesn't matter. Take as many loads as you want.
I love it. Will, who's winning March Madness? Who do you got on the top of your bracket?
Dude, I don't even know, man. I didn't even do a bracket this year. Didn't even do the black box bracket. That's how busy we've been like the last week or 2 weeks. I didn't even do a March Madness bracket.
I
Um,
can't believe it.
I know, man. I'm ashamed of myself. I don't know who I've become. I've got my TV on here. I'm taking home the damn March Madness games. I turned it on this morning. I was like, I'll watch some games. Haven't even moved it. So I don't know, man.
Unbelievable.
SEC team, because we're Birmingham, Alabama. Hopefully SEC.
I love that you still got the Two Dogs, One Pod logo up there too.
Yeah, man, it's a sweet logo. Paid a guy in
It
Taiwan.
is.
Paid a guy in Taiwan like $10 for it.
I love it. Do you got any thoughts of restarting that in the future? I mean, I know you're slam, but
Yeah, I don't know, man. I enjoy doing it. I learned a ton doing it.
yeah, me too.
Kind of like started. I was pretty hesitant to do it, but then once we did it, it was a lot of fun. No immediate plans, but who knows what the future holds.
Cool. Well, if you do restart it one day, I'd love to come back on because again, I attribute even just Freight Agent Insider really to you and Matt. I wouldn't even be doing this right now had I not been invited on your show. So
Awesome, man. Well,
appreciate it.
you're killing it. It's been cool to watch, and I appreciate you having me on.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again when things slow down on your end a little bit, and we'll see where you're at. We'll see where Blackbox is at in 5-6 months. We'll run it back.
Awesome, man. Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Thanks everybody for joining. We'll be back next Monday, 9 a.m. Central. I hope you're ready. We've got a stacked lineup coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be very informative too. So we'll see you then. Thanks again, Will. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Freight Agent Insider Podcast. Like us and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and LinkedIn